Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Half-Life Mods. Today we're going to be going over Paranoia, an action horror mod made all the way back in 2007 by a group of very talented developers. You play as a Spetsnaz major on a mission to eliminate a terrorist threat at a military bunker. So the game begins at a training base, and the first thing I noticed was the design of the rooms. The camera on the desk implies that the photographs on the wall were taken by the player character. The camouflage computer and military hat also show that we ourselves are a part of the military. And it's this nuance and attention to detail that gives this mod such a high production quality. It just feels so alive. So as I explored the military base to complete a rather lengthy tutorial section, I kept finding myself distracted by all the individual soldiers and their own stories. For example, there's this one guy who's sitting alone in a room in sorrow. There's soldiers preparing food in the kitchen. There's this other soldier playing guitar in the barracks. there's this guy who keeps screaming through his gas mask. And then there's these two guys outside working on a broken car. What I found really interesting is when I returned to them later in the tutorial, they'd actually moved positions, showing that they weren't just going to stand in one place the whole time. So the entire game's in Russian, but the developers were kind enough to give us English subtitles to help aid my Western comprehension. But it's nice that they kept the spoken dialogue in Russian, because it just adds so much more to the world of the game, and it makes it feel like a real place. I mean, like, I haven't even finished the tutorial yet, and they already managed to create an immersive story world. That's impressive. So after the tutorial, we're sent to the Udarkin industrial complex, and it's there that we're supposed to destroy a terrorist threat, and we finally get to see some combat. Now, the combat system in the game is surprisingly complex. I mean, it just involves putting a helmet on and on, but this helmet is a godsend. Without it, you'll find yourself dying before you can even tell who's shooting at you. So the helmet prevents you from getting killed as quickly, but it also restricts your vision. So you really want to save the helmet for when you need it. You can tell that the developers really tried to aim for a realistic combat experience, and I appreciate that. So after shooting our way through the industrial complex and sneaking through the ceiling, we find out that the enemy is actually trying to get their way into a secret military bunker that's located in the complex. So we head to the bunker and we shoot everybody we see. I rendezvous with Kulak, my best friend, and we help each other to raid the bunker. However, sneaking through a vent, I fall through the floor and find myself traveling deeper into the bunker and losing contact with Kulak. So I lose most of my equipment except for my pistol and, of course, my trusty helmet. So this place looks derelict and abandoned, and as I try to find my way out, I find out that I'm not the only one down here. I notice this colorful mural of complex science-based art right in the middle of this abandoned bunker. Then we see these desecrated corpses lying on the ground, almost as if they were ripped apart. And as I investigate the bodies, this happens. Completely out of left field, I'm ambushed by these walking corpses, and with limited bullets I'm forced to dispatch them with a knife. This was easily the hardest part of the game for me, because these zombies took about 1,000,000 hits to die. This whole fight was about an hour of my time. And even with the full health and the trusty helmet, these zombies will still take you out in like a handful of hits. And this isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, the game was hard up to this point. I was barely scratching by, so this wasn't out of place. And with the jarred fetuses and these notes about human experiments, it really made the horrors of what these people had gone through seem so vivid. And it made this laboratory just seem all the fucking scarier. So after the fight, I end up taking an elevator down to meet with my fellow soldiers, including my best buddy Kulak, and this other group of people who are pretty violently interrogating this terrorist. So I'm told to meet with Paulina, the head of the Krot 3 laboratory. And it's here she reveals that this laboratory was created to perform genetic experiments on humans in order to create them into super soldier clones. Right after she tells me this, these super soldier clones they've been working on for so long decide to pull an Order 66 and they just start killing everybody. I don't blame them though. But unfortunately, Kulak and I are tasked with eliminating these super soldier clones, as well as a handful of heavily mutated humans. Some really scary shit, honestly. So we eventually find the hub of this mutation. It's a Gravemind-esque creature attached to a bunch of bodies in a garage. So I killed the fleshy blob before engaging in the final battle of the game. Kulak and I versus a couple soldiers and a helicopter. Wasn't as easy as it sounds. Like, this part was seriously, it was fucking hard. But after the fight, Kulak and I are finally relieved of our duties and sent back to the military base. Meanwhile, Paulina, the head scientist from before, she's locked down at the bottom of the bunker, her fate sealed, being eaten by the monsters that she had created. So that's the gist of Paranoia, and I fucking loved it. Like, honestly, the mod just, like, it felt like its own standalone game. And I mean, although it was on the shorter side, just this immense world that they created, and their attention to just the minute details, it's just something worth marveling over. So I highly recommend this game for anyone who's looking for an amazing action horror experience. And I could see myself playing this game again due to the unique combat system and the lore-heavy notes strewn throughout the game. You can really tell they went the extra mile with making this, and as a gamer, I'm really grateful for that. So because of this, I'm giving Half-Life Paranoia 8 Kleiners out of 10.
No! Oh my.
Thanks again for watching another episode of Half-Life Mods. I really appreciate it, and thanks for watching another episode